Now, fallacies of emotion manipulate your emotions in order to persuade you, or actually to trick you, because remember, they're fallacies, they're fake, they're not real. Now, there are valid calls to our emotions. Okay, we love our families, we love our country, we love our neighborhoods, and our dogs, and so these are valid uses and resources for us in our lives. Okay, but sometimes people will manipulate those emotions, and we have to watch out for those. So here are a few fallacies of emotion. The appeal to force. This is one of the most common. We should recognize this from our schoolyard days. Bully puts his fist in your face and says, "Give me your lunch money." Right? Well, whether you do or you don't, and that's another story, but the threat has nothing to do with the rightness of the appeal, the persuasion. So it's not right what he's doing, even if somebody does give the bully his or her lunch money. Okay, so so the appeal to force, or the threat, something bad's going to happen if you don't do what I say, that is an invalid argument. That doesn't mean that the argument is correct. Doesn't mean that the other person's position is correct. Even if you give in, okay, even if the threat is credible. I'm going to burn down your house unless you, pay insurance, right? That's the classic gangster threat, right? You need insurance. No, I don't. I don't need insurance. Well, it'd be a pity if something happened to you, if your house burned down. You go, okay, so I wonder if my house is going to burn down. Okay, yeah. Maybe I better pay this guy insurance. Okay, that's a threat. It has nothing to do with the validity of the argument. The appeal to pity is another fallacy of emotion. You're urged to agree because of the pity that is aroused in you for the person or the cause that's being espoused. Okay, it has nothing to do with the rightness of the argument. Now, very often, we do feel pity. We do give to charity because we feel sorry for the people who suffer. Now, that's okay. But you have to be careful, because sometimes people play on your emotions. I once had a car salesman try that on me. And, oh, please buy the car today because I have to make my quota, and my boss says that. Well, you see, it had nothing to do with my need for the car or the value of the car that he wanted me to buy. I was supposed to buy the car because I felt pity for the salesperson, and I didn't buy the car. I'm a hard-hearted SOB that I am. It wasn't a good deal. After I looked at it, wasn't the car that I wanted, and I guess I resented, the logical fallacy that was being played on me. Okay, so anyway, never try that on a professor of logic. Here's another example of appeal to pity. Why else would we buy stale, overpriced cookies from that cute little kid in front of the store who's trying to raise money for summer camp? Except for pity. Now, I hate the cookies. I never eat the cookies. I throw them away. I try to find somebody who does like them. But I'm a sucker. I always buy the cookies. I buy 2. Oh, sure, I'll buy 2. Give me 2 boxes, okay? That's an appeal to pity. Okay, there's nothing of value in the cookies themselves, and I know that. But even I am not so hard-hearted that I can resist a cute little kid's desire to go to summer camp. But that's an appeal to pity. It's a logical fallacy. Now, the bandwagon fallacy is essentially everybody else is doing it, so you should too. You see this in the advertisements all the time. biggest showroom west of the Mississippi or east of the Mississippi or something to do with the Mississippi, right? 50 million customers, happy customers. You should be one too. You know, this has nothing to do with the quality of the product. Okay, this is vote for me because I'm electable, and I'm electable because everybody's going to vote for me, and everybody's going to vote for me because I'm electable, and you know, so that has nothing to do with the argument, with the real value in the product or the politician or anything else that everybody else is doing it. Now, the name Bandwagon is kind of interesting. It's comes from the days in the 1800s in America, when politicians would be running for some sort of office, and they'd get a bandwagon, you know, a wagon, okay, and they'd put a band on it, hence bandwagon, probably a few kegs of beer, and they'd roll it through town. And people would start jumping on it, probably because of the band and the beer, okay? But then other people would see that other people were jumping on it, so they'd jump on it too, and pretty soon everybody was on the bandwagon. Not because of anything of value that the politician had to say, but because everybody was on the bandwagon, so hence the bandwagon effect. Okay, but that's a fallacy. That everybody else is doing it does not say that the argument is right. Now, regarding the bandwagon, your mother used to warn you about this. Okay, well, if you remember, and you should remember, because what she said was true. Well, if everybody else jumped off a cliff, would you jump off a cliff too? I hope not. Just because everybody else is jumping off a cliff doesn't mean it's a good idea. That's a bandwagon argument. That's a bandwagon effect. And it's not a good idea. So, as I said, the appeal to the mob appeals to the lowest, most animalistic instincts. Okay, this is where the mob, the pitchfork-carrying, torch-carrying mob comes into play. Okay, if we don't act now, we'll be overrun. All our values are thrown in the gutter. Everything we hold dear will be destroyed. They're coming after you. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. Watch out. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Oh, but vote for me. Okay, so it's a logical fallacy. It's a fake argument. The appeal to the mob appeals to the lowest, most animalistic instincts. Okay, this is where the mob, the pitchfork-carrying, torch-carrying mob comes into play. Okay, if we don't act now, we'll be overrun. All our values are thrown in the gutter. Everything we hold dear will be destroyed. They're coming after you. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. Watch out. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Oh, but vote for me. Okay, so it's a logical fallacy. It's a fake argument. So here we get to the ad hominem argument. This is an argument that attacks the person rather than the position, or rather than the argument. It doesn't say that your argument or your position is wrong. It says there's something wrong with you. Okay, so again, I mean, you know, you go back to your schoolyard days. You know, you're fat, you're ugly. You know, you wear glasses. You know, you have red hair. You know, whatever it is. I mean, you know, attacking the person rather than the person's position. Okay, so why is the position wrong? Should be the focus of an argument, not making fun of the individuals. And again, slippery, deceitful politicians who want to manipulate you will revert to name calling. It's essentially name calling. Okay, now one of the things that you know is that if a person reverts to name calling, they've lost. They've lost at least the intellectual argument. Now, the sad thing about some of these dirty tricks is sometimes they work. But as Lincoln said, you can fool some of the people all the time. You can fool all the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And eventually people will catch on. Well, he's not really talking about why he's right. He's just calling that other guy names. He's just calling him stupid. You know, oh, you stupid dum-dum. Well, that doesn't mean that you're right, right? It just means that you called him a name. And maybe you made us laugh. You know, maybe you got us on your side for a moment because we feel superior to the stupid dum-dum. Okay, but maybe the stupid dum-dum's got a good idea. Listen to the idea, not the name calling. Ad hominem means to the man, to the person. I'm arguing against the person rather than the person's position, the person's ideas. So if I were in a debate with somebody and I said, my opponent is wrong because he looks like a decayed, foolish, rascally crook. He's a toad, ugly and venomous. He's a beast, a faithless coward, dishonest wretch, an ass, a madman, a botch of nature. He's crooked, old, wrinkled, ill-faced, worse-bodied, shapeless, vicious, ungentle, foolish, scurvy, old, filthy, lecherous dog, deserves no more than the kick of your foot, and he's a coward. He's an infinite and endless liar, an hourly promise breaker, the owner of not one good quality, and besides that, his breath stinks, and he's not a nice man. Okay, so have I called him enough names to convince you that I'm right and he's wrong? Well, I hope not. I hope that you would recognize that I'm engaging in an ad hominem. I'm arguing to the person. I'm not arguing to his position. And very often in this sort of thing, the person who engages in the ad hominem doesn't even mention the opponent's position. He just attacks and attacks and attacks the person. And name calling is not truth telling. It's just name calling. False authority. We see this all the time, and it's used a lot in advertising. An athlete endorses a product. Okay? A politician pushes a drug. A movie actor supports a political position. But always ask yourself, what does this person know from bupkis about what it is they're trying to convince you of? Sometimes, very often, it's a false authority. This person is not an expert in the field. They're just lending their fame to whoever pays them, and sometimes that's a lot of money, to say, I just love, the super widget product. It's the best thing. It's a floor wax. It's a dessert topping. It's a shampoo. It does everything. The false authority, is false. Okay, the person does not have the qualifications or the real authority to tell the truth or to know what they're talking about. Now, this reference is a little dated, but it serves to illustrate the point, I think. Arnold Palmer, if you're a fan of golf, you might recognize the name, but he was one of the great all-time golfers, one of the best. The Babe Ruth of golfing, if you would, up there with Tiger Woods, the more recent great. Now, after his athletic career, Arnie, as he was known, started hawking on television commercials and magazine ads Pennzoil, a motor oil. Again, what does he know about motor oil? I mean, his career had nothing to do with motor oil. Now, if he had been endorsing a line of golf clubs or golf apparel, golf shirts, then there'd be some sort of logical connection between him and the product that he was endorsing. And one might say, well, he has some authority to endorse that. He has some experience in saying that that's a quality product. But for the purposes of our illustration, let's assume he knows nothing about motor oil. He's not a mechanic. Okay? He is a golfer. So that's a false authority, that he lends his authority to motor oil. A little bit more recent than Arnold Palmer, and there's examples all over the place. And so you wonder why I go back this far. But anyway, several years ago, Paris Hilton did a very famous hamburger commercial, and if you don't notice, the commercial's about the hamburger, right? False authority. I mean, look at her. I mean, she doesn't go around eating a lot of hamburgers and French fries and things like that. False authority. You see, selling a product or an idea on the basis of the person who's uttering it, who doesn't have any authority to say such a thing. Okay, so have to watch out for that. So the last one I'll talk about for this presentation will be the fallacy of the tribe. My tribe, right or wrong. My tribe is always right. Your tribe is always wrong. Okay, we see this in politics. We see this in nationalism. Okay, we see this in sports. Okay, my team is the best team. It doesn't matter that they always lose. They're still the best team. Okay, this is a fallacy. Okay, not to admit that from a logical standpoint, ethical, moral standpoint, that we have things to learn from other people. They aren't wrong just because they belong to another tribe. So we see this, well, especially nowadays, we see it a lot in politics. You know, Republicans won't admit that a Democrat has a good idea. Sometimes Democrats won't admit that a Republican has a good idea. Okay, whereas good ideas are free-flowing. You know, people of all political parties, all races, all nationalities have good ideas. Okay, and we should be evaluating the ideas, not the tribe to which something is affiliated. Okay, so anyway, this is a fallacy, and I've used a picture. I could get a lot more incendiary, that is provocative, but I've just used a picture to show, you know, a harmless enough tribal loyalty, that a sports loyalty. And here I think we have cheeseheads, you know, from Wisconsin. You know, they in sub-zero weather, they take off their shirts and paint themselves the color of cheese and wear cheese heads. A silly but harmless type of tribal loyalty. Sometimes it gets a lot more dangerous. And sometimes it provokes people to act against their own best interests. Okay, so, for instance, you have working people who vote against health care for working people. So very wealthy people, billionaires, can get a tax break. Okay? How are they convinced to do that? Because their tribal loyalty is appealed to. Okay? That they should vote in a way that that disadvantages them because they're on the same tribe as the billionaire, you know, who really just wants the tax break so he or she can buy an extra yacht. They don't have enough yachts. Only have 10 yachts, and all the other billionaires have 12 yachts, and that isn't fair. Okay, okay, you know, your kid goes without seeing a doctor. You lose your home because you can't pay your medical bills, but the billionaire's got another yacht. See, but how does he get you to vote for him or his candidate? By tribe. Okay, you belong to this tribe, and so you vote in that particular way. So this is one way that tribal loyalty, the fallacy of the tribal loyalty, works, and very often works to your detriment. So I hope you learn these. Okay, there's a lot more. You can study up on them, but this is a good start on some of the basic logical fallacies that are wrong from the beginning. So now, it doesn't mean that everybody who uses this, or all the times that these are used, that the position itself is wrong. Sometimes somebody might use a logical fallacy and maybe accidentally back into something that's correct, something that could be explained or argued or persuaded to you in a valid way. Okay, so, but you should never be convinced by one of these fallacies because, as the name says, they're false. They're fallacies. They're fake. If you like this video, please hit the like, thumbs up below, and subscribe. Also, for the complete course, you can find this on Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes in design, the arts, including writing, all kinds of writing, creative writing, technical writing, business, tech, and a lot of other disciplines. And you can learn cutting-edge skills, you can network with peers, you can discover new opportunities, explore new interests, develop your talents, anything you want to do. It's great. And if you click the link below for the Skillshare link, you get 2 free months that you can just try it out, do whatever you want to, take all 24,000 classes if you want to in those 2 months, and then quit. Don't pay a penny. And did I mention it's free? Okay, so so join up, click subscribe, give me a thumbs up, And hope to see you soon.
Skillshare is for designers, photographers, marketers, artists, and lifelong learners. Skillshare is for foodies, commuters, risk takers, the young, and the young at heart. It's for strategists, free spirits, purists, the bold, the curious, the characters, the makers, and the breakers. Skillshare is for everyone, an online learning community with thousands of classes to advance your career, improve the world, and pursue the work you love. What will you learn next? It all starts on Skillshare.